In today's game, a transfer slipping past both the media and the hawk-eyed fans who track players every Instagram follow and like is practically the stuff of legend. But that's exactly what happened at 9 PM on Saturday night when, completely out of the blue, QPR unveiled their latest arrival, Rumarn Burrell, to the surprise of just about everyone. Now, the even better news for Ars fans is that 24-year-old Burrell is something that's become even more gold dust to QPR than an under-the-radar signing, and that's because he's a striker. So, what has Burrell's journey through the game looked like so far? What type of striker is he? And what can he bring to the table next season? I'm Connor, aka Hoopsa. I talk all things Queen's Park Rangers, and today I'm going to discuss exactly that. So let's get into it. Rumarn Burrell was born on the 16th of December 2000 in Birmingham, England, and spent his youth at Coventry City and Scunthorpe United before joining Grimsby Town's academy aged 17. Prolific in front of goal at youth level over the next 2 years, Burrell was a staple in Town's first ever under-18s league title under academy manager Neil Woods, and by April 2019 he would find himself in the senior squad picture, debuting from the bench in a 2-0 League 2 home loss to Stevenage ahead of further sub-appearances against Colchester, Notts County and Crewe Alexandra. Although he didn't find the net in any of those 4 appearances, Burrell's work rate was enough to earn him his first ever professional contract with Grimsby by the end of the month. Unbeknownst to the Town fans though, it turned out that 18-year-old Burrell had already played for the Mariners for the last time, because just weeks later, Championship Middlesbrough came calling for his signature, and soon enough, on the 24th of May 2019, his signing on a 3-year deal was confirmed. Burrell's first 18 months at his new club was spent back at academy level, scoring 10 goals in 18 games for the under-23s in Premier League 2 in the 2019-20 season, and a further 4 goals in 15 in the 2020-21 season. On the 9th of January 2021, he would finally make his first team debut in a 2-1 FA Cup defeat away to Brentford, albeit for just one singular minute, and the following week he would find himself heading out on his first loan stint to Bradford City back in League 2. Competition for places saw him feature for just 10 minutes over 2 sub-appearances in the second half of that season, and while a full season loan to Scottish Championship side Kilmarnock in the following campaign promised greater exposure, an ankle injury sustained after grabbing an assist on his club debut against Queen of the South saw his playing time similarly limited to just 9 games in all competitions. Leaving Borough at the end of his deal in the summer of 2022, it's safe to say the move hadn't played out how either party might have initially hoped. Burrell's temporary stay in Scotland the season before hadn't been a complete waste of time though, because that summer Scottish League 1 side Falkirk picked up the now 21-year-old on a 1-year deal, and this is where things started to click for the young striker. Initially used as an impact sub, he finally scored his first ever senior goal on the 20th of August 2022 in a 3-0 win over FC Edinburgh, and after impressing manager John McGlynn with his energy and intelligent movement, he soon became a regular starter. And over the course of the season, the striker rewarded his manager's faith, scoring 12 goals and producing 3 assists in just 20 starts in all competitions as Falkirk aimed for promotion back to the Scottish Championship. The Bairns may have fallen short of their ambitions, but it was a season that was pivotal for Burrell as a player, describing himself as his first real professional season, and that increase in regular playing time as vital to his growth beyond youth football. It was his desire for continued, consistent playing time that led him to move again in the summer of 2023 at the end of his year deal with Falkirk, signing a new 1-year contract with fellow League 1 side Cove Rangers on the 16th of June. That move at club level may have not paid off, with Falkirk promoted in the following season and Cove Rangers finishing 5th, but for his own personal development, it paid dividends. Now his new club starting number 9, he exploded into form, producing a career best 24 goals and 9 assists in 42 appearances, with 21 goals and 7 assists coming in Scottish League 1 alone. Inevitably, that impressive breakout campaign alerted multiple clubs back in England, and on the 26th of June 2024, upon expiry of his Cove Rangers contract, Burrell signed a new 3-year deal with Burton Albion in EFL League 1. The progress he'd made over the past 2 seasons didn't quite continue in an upward line initially though. After starting all 3 of Burton's group games in the EFL Trophy and featuring twice from the bench in League 1 in August, Burrell wouldn't appear in the matchday squad again until late November, primarily because new manager Mark Robinson had made some 19 summer signings and spent the opening quarter of the season chopping and changing his side in hope of ending a 13-game winless streak in the league that had seen them lose 7 on the bounce. By the end of October, the club had no choice but to change tact. Robinson was shown the boot and assistant manager Tom Hounsell was given the job on an interim basis, eventually reintroducing Burrell into the fold and getting wins against Shrewsbury Town and Peterborough on the board. It was under new permanent manager Gary Bowyer though, appointed on the 17th of December to save Albion from the root of the table, that things would finally start to click for Burrell at his new club. Installed as a consistent half of a striker partnership for the remainder of the season, from late December onwards the Jamaican forward scored 11 goals and 2 assists in League One, half of his returns coming in January alone, earning him the title of League One's Player of the Month. Given Burton would only end up staying up by a single point and they scored the 5th lowest number of goals in the division, it was an impressive second half of the campaign for Burrell, seemingly out of nowhere, and plenty took notice. For one, in May 2025, he was called up to the Jamaican national team for the first time, scoring on his debut against Trinidad and Tobago in the Unity Cup and making a total of 4 appearances to date. Then came the attention of other EFL clubs, most notably League One returners Plymouth Argyle, who until last weekend had seemingly led the chase for Burrell's signature. That was the case until Saturday night at least, when out of nowhere QPR revealed they had secured his services from Burton Albion in a deal reportedly worth just north of £1 million. So, what kind of player is Burrell and why have Rangers acted so promptly and covertly to get their man? Well, unlike a lot of signings, the answers are really quite simple. He scores goals, he's physical, and most importantly, he has bags of pace. Now, when it comes to goals, his initial numbers outside of Cove Rangers might not look particularly impressive. After all, before the age of 22, he was yet to score a goal in the senior game. But when you consider that he scored 11 goals for a goal-starved Burton Albion last season from just 39 shots, it gives an indication of why he's popped up on QPR's radar. Still only 24 years old, that kind of conversion rate could well be the sign of a forward about to explode on a new level. And while the English League One is far superior to Scotland's, had he had consistent playing time last season from the beginning, he may well have got a lot closer to the 24 goals he bagged for Cove Rangers the season prior. Now, in terms of his finishing, he's not miles away from Jan Seller or Charlie Kelman in that his preference is to finish instinctively inside the box. Last season, 10 of his 11 League One goals came inside the area, as did 87% of his shots, while over 50% of his goals came inside the 6-yard box thanks to well-timed runs and well-chosen positions. Now, for both Seller and Kelman, my worry has always been they wouldn't get the service they need inside the box, and that's a very valid question mark for Burrell again here. Playing with just one striker up top over the last few seasons, QPR strikers these days have to offer much more than just a presence inside the box. The things that separate Burrell from the pair of them, though, you'll be pleased to hear, is his pace, positioning and physicality. Thanks to his electric pace, the Jamaican forward isn't afraid to drop extremely deep to get onto the ball, either holding it up and shielding it with his strong, physical 6-foot frame to bring wider players into the game, or using his speed to dart back up the pitch. Despite preferring to shoot and score inside the box, his rapid runs also see him drifting out wide, pulling defenders out of position and creating lanes in midfield for others to attack through. Crucially, his pace also enables him to press energetically from the front and pin back defences. Overall, unlike previous striker acquisitions, his general off-the-ball work is very promising, and that gives him a much higher chance of succeeding at QPR if we remain in a one-striker system next season. So where is there room for Burrell to improve, and what other question marks are there? Well, the obvious one, like many, is that he's never played in the Championship before, and again, he seems to be a bit of a late bloomer in terms of goal scoring, though that is appearing more and more to be a consequence of struggling to find playing time at clubs rather than a damning reflection of his own ability. Obviously, coming up a level, this is going to be a gamble of whether he can adapt and improve once more. On the ball, he can be a little bit erratic in tighter spaces, something he'll need to get much more used to playing against stronger defences in this division, though on that basis he might not always be Stefan's man of choice when seeking to break down an organised defence. As with many young attackers, his decision making can be a little bit inconsistent too in terms of when to pass and when to shoot, though from a shooting perspective more attempts from range could add to his arsenal. So what do you think about Burrell's signing? For me, it's always nice to have a player join out of nowhere, and I weirdly have quite a good feeling about him. At just over £1 million, he's without a doubt a gamble, but if he continued in that kind of goal-scoring form next season in League One, we wouldn't have been able to afford him in a year's time. If he continues to grow and he can step up a level, he could be a really intelligent acquisition before he explodes again. More importantly though, with pace, power and goal-scoring instinct, he adds traits to our front line that we just don't have. Some Mars fans understandably are confused why we'd allow League One's top scorer to go to Charlton, but even if Kelman had wanted to stay, he wouldn't have offered the same kind of traits and may well have struggled just as much as Seller did last season. I'm not saying Burrell's going to do any better, but the fact that he's already played in in a team so creatively starved is weirdly quite reassuring to me. In that sense, this feels like a really smart, immediate use of those funds from Kelman, and if we can add at least one other kind of profile to the front line with that money, which it looks like we will, Stefan could have a much more diverse range of striker tools at his disposal next season. So that's my view. What do you think? I'd love to hear from you in the comments below. If you've enjoyed this transfer deep dive and you've not tuned into Hoopsa before, I'd really appreciate if you can hit like and subscribe, and hopefully I'll catch you for the next one. Cheers!